A very good morning to you. Welcome back. You're watching Morning Express. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. This time round, we take a look at the latest intrigues in politics. Joining us in studio still, let me introduce them. Musari Kahiga, who's a public policy analyst. Thank you so much for your time. As well as James Gakuya, who's the Embakasi North Member of Parliament. So, gentlemen, it has been a busy week. Among some of the intrigues that seem to come out surrounding the Jubilee Party, and of course all this in regards to the party's National Management Committee, which seemed to take a step forward and recommend the removal of Deputy Party Leader, Deputy President William Ruto. Now, the committee has forwarded its resolution to the National Executive Council, which is chaired by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, Ruto's fate in the party now hangs in the hands of his boss. Let's first take a look at this report that was filed by our senior reporter Rita Tinina before we delve deeper. Okay, we don't seem to have that particular report, but even as we try and clamor for it, that particular story has been highlighted on the front page of the Standard, as Trix mentioned earlier. It's all about Jubilee ejecting Ruto from the top party post. Well, I understand the story is now ready. Let's take a look at it before we continue.
Deputy President William Ruto was left out of an executive meeting at State House, Nairobi, chaired by President Uhuru Kenyatta less than a month ago. The second in command, who has a strained relationship with his boss, read much more into the move.
Kuna watu wako na njama ati wanataka kusisukuma kutoka serikali ya Jubilee niende pembeni.
And it appears the Jubilee Party wants to push Ruto out of the party. The National Management Committee, the organ that runs the day-to-day affairs of the party, in a resolution has asked the National Executive Council, chaired by party leader Uhuru Kenyatta, to remove Ruto from the position of deputy party leader. Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju says the matter is active. The NMC is now waiting for the party leader to convene an NEC meeting to deliberate on the matter, says the Secretary General. Jubilee Party leader Uhuru Kenyatta has several options. He can agree to, reject, or defer the recommendation by the National Management Committee. The recommendation by the National Management Committee is only the latest move in what critics have termed as a scheme to tame Ruto. In May last year, Ruto's allies were purged from House committees. Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen, Majority Whip Susan Kiheka, and National Assembly Majority Leader Eden Duale lost their positions. Early last month, the party expelled 6 nominated senators allied to Ruto who were labelled as being disloyal to the party and also accused of insubordination of the party leader, President Uhuru Kenyatta. It remains unclear why the NMC wants Ruto out. For now, it would appear that William Ruto's fate in the ruling Jubilee Party, a party he helped form, lies in the hands of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
Well, that's the latest. As clearly indicated by Rita Tinina, the National Management Committee made that bold decision to actually remove Ruto as the party's deputy leader and forwarded that decision to the National Executive Council, which is chaired by President Uhuru Kenyatta, who's the party leader. Well, we have one of members of Jubilee in studio. Perhaps we can start with you, Honorable Gakuya. What exactly is happening? Did you see this coming, and what does it mean for the deputy party leader?
Actually, this is not a new matter, and it's not a surprise. Roger, we have been in this particular sagas of Jubilee and its membership, and as it has been reported there, well, for the last 1 year, it's like it was the battle of the rat and the mouse, because you find a situation where the party, it's like it made a decision that at least it's required to discipline some of the members, and they were just ready to discipline those who are leaning to the deputy president's side. But my big question is, And this still is the same question with the rest of the members. When did the Deputy President became a non-member of Jubilee? Or when did he became, when did he cease to become the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya? And therefore, being told that actually moving or being seen with the Deputy President, you are a liberal, to me, it is just a mockery, because
is it a mockery, Kuya?
Yeah, because for
especially because of the United Democratic Alliance. That might be the key area of concern, associating yourself with a party that many might argue is not really an affiliate of Jubilee, is it?
One, let us agree, Roger, that before, the smoke came out even before the realization of the UDA. And when the fire first came, there was no even any thought of UDA. UDA is just born the other day, and this was just born after finding every other option locked. Because such a time that actually the Deputy President was told not even to attend his meetings at the Jubilee office and not make public what we call media statements at that particular office, then tells you what? It tells you that you are unwanted in that particular office.
Well, he was going against the party's stand in that particular case.
One thing is I can tell you is that there is no such a time that the Deputy President moved against the party's stand. Okay. Because at what particular time would you like to tell me the Deputy President was seen walking aloud, preaching anything else other than the developments that have been initiated by the Jubilee government? Well, I have not seen him.
Okay.
Anywhere.
Many might argue supporting the Msambweni current member of parliament might have been sort of a stand against the party.
To me, Roger, if there is somebody who has lost an election, those who are purporting to be the movers of the party at the highest level. Because if somebody is a deputy party leader, and he has not been given any opportunity at the level of decision making, it tells you that in fact that person is already sidelined from deciding to the organ that decides on behalf of that particular party. And if the party can make a stand that they are not going to field a candidate in Msambweni as a party, and the Deputy President is not given a room to be heard, it tells you that it is not even long if he decides to take another different route. Well, because surely we have the last concluded election of Kabuchai and Matungu, and we have seen the party not fielding a single candidate. Even in the current Machakos senator, the party has not fielded a candidate. But surely, if the Deputy President feels that actually he required to have a candidate, and that candidate cannot be propelled through Jubilee, he must look for what we call alternative measure.
Well, the Political Parties Act and the rules are simply stated right there. But be that as it may, let's cross over to you, Mr. Musalia. I know you're not a Jubilee member, but at times it's a little bit clearer from outside looking in as compared from inside looking out. What do you make of this debacle, the move by the NMC to actually oust Ruto as the deputy party leader?
I think the question when it comes to Jubilee today is whether people are members of Jubilee or UDA. That's where we should start. We're in a complete mesmerizing shock to hear from members of Jubilee that it would be okay to support another party. That is against the law in this country. However, yes, the Deputy President has a right to start another party and join it. I think what Raphael Tuju is asking is that he should join that party. I think that's the basic gist here. Outside that, I don't know why anyone should be surprised. We've been seeing this, Jesse, since 2002, when former retired the late Daniel Arap Moi, the president then, had one hell of a debacle at the National Delegates Conference. And we had people literally kicked out of that delegates conference. So party politics can be brutal. I don't think the deputy president is an inexperienced politician. Many might not agree with his political point of views, but we have to agree on this, that he's an experienced politician.
Okay, being an experienced politician, what does this particular ouster mean for the deputy president? Going forward, bearing in mind 2022 general election, is it inconsequential to the hustler nation, as it's commonly referred to?
I don't know where the hustler nation exists. I want to stick on the UDA and the Jubilee. And Jesse, I think it's inconsequential. I think he had moved. It's chasing away a wife who has divorced you. I think that's what it's up to.
Okay. Yeah. Would you beg to differ, Mheshimiwa? What's your take on this?
Roger, what is remaining, and that's what is sticking the deputy president there. It's only that actually because we have what we call regulations, or rules and laws that govern the political parties, and one must belong to one single party at a time, and therefore the deputy president will painfully be there seen as a Jubilee, but it's only the body which is there. The heart has already moved, and the heart is already elsewhere. And this way, this is of no doubt that the UDA is his vessel come 2022. And let me tell you, when you are seeing all his team riding on that particular vessel, it tells you that that is where the master is heading.
Okay, but where does this leave your party, if you're still a member, the Jubilee Party? By the way, do you, your monthly contribution, does it go to Jubilee or UDA, if I may ask?
Currently, I have no problem with the Jubilee taking that particular that particular small percentage.
Okay.
Because as I am, I still belong to Jubilee until the final whistle.
All right.
And therefore, let them benefit with that.
So where does that leave your party? We've seen all these pushes and pulls. We've seen the majority leader, some of the allies of the deputy president actually ousted from positions of leadership. And it shows the deep cracks within the ruling party. Where does this leave the Jubilee Party in your take as a member?
One, Roger, because at least you also belong to this particular nation and you have known the history which has been going on, you have realized that the head of state has taken a new dimension where he has opted to look for new friends. And he has incorporated people like Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula, and also the Raila Odinga. Then it tells you what? That actually he was looking for what we call soft landing, in case that actually there was a serious rebellion within his party. But I still guess that in fact the best party was the best vessel was to handle Jubilee. But I can tell you, deliberately Jubilee was left to perish because of some kind of ideas that I cannot be able to tell. But if the head of state was keen to make sure that the division is going to be a narrow one, and the party is going to stand again, he had power and authority to bring it back. Okay. But deliberately, it seems he wanted the party split, and that is the result we are getting as of now.
Okay, that's interesting. Going back, Mr. Musari, this is not the first time that people within a party might share different ideologies. It's all the interesting this time around because this involves the president and the deputy president, who happen to be the party leader and the deputy party leader. But borrowing from the past, perhaps Ford Asili and Ford Kenya, the split. What do you make of this going forward? Because many might argue that this might be the final nail in the coffin for Jubilee Party as it is. At least the allies of the deputy president might mention Jubilee as a shell right now. What's your take on this?
I think, yes, certainly Jubilee is history. We would be most intrigued to see where the remaining half of Jubilee goes at the end of this debacle. But when it comes to Mheshimiwa, I think I can hear he's leaning, they'll be off to UDA as soon as the whistle is blown. However, Jesse, I think that also begs a question about this country. We need to institutionalize our politics. We must have political parties that stand for ideologies, and those ideologies should be able to run through individuals long after those individuals are gone.
Is that a pipe dream, Honorable Gakuya? Parties and ideologies. We well know of the essence of political parties and how much clamor is around the individual who leads the party.
Roger, one thing, what I can tell you is that, in fact, parties must rise And they must come to understand that actually parties belongs to the membership. But when a party becomes as if it's a briefcase party, where it can be making decisions without involving its branches.
All right.
Even taking decisions where probably the structures should be given room to decide. It tells you that that party is not taking the right direction. And the manner in which the Jubilee has been led, and especially in the last 3 good years, it has totally witnessed that, in fact, the party has been led as if it's a private organization, but not a political party. And in that particular case, that is why the division has been too big, even which has made the party to split to the level it is today.
Okay.
That as we speak today, then I can tell you, majority of the membership of the House from who came in with the Jubilee Party are the ones who are out. Then the smaller number of a percentage is the number which is remaining there. And therefore, without the head of state bringing in those other new friends, there could be no survival of the Jubilee so far.
Well, the leadership of the party might argue differently, but be that as it may, briefly, when's the last time the National Executive Council actually sat down?
I can tell you for sure, National Executive Council, in the last 3 good years, there was none a single meeting. And I also can tell you, in those kind of serious decision making, one should require to bring in what we call NDC, National Delegates Council, which decides on behalf of the party through all elective structures of the party nationwide.
Okay.
But this room has never been there. And there it tells you that actually the direction the party has been led is a route that it was so personal and not collective.
Okay, Mr. Musari, before I get your take on that, let me just introduce this particular story on the finalization of the campaigns in the Machakos senatorial race. Now, the candidates actually scrambled in the last minute to woo voters in the mini poll that is set for Thursday, just 2 days away. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta's order banning political gatherings did deal a blow to the campaigns, with stakeholders being forced to employ other strategies to maneuver the final pitches to voters. Let's take a look at this report filed by senior reporter Jeff Kirui.
Unlike what has been previously the case in the final days of campaigns, in Machakos it was a low-key event after President Uhuru Kenyatta banned political rallies. Candidates in the by-election having to contend with the different strategies in the home stretch to Thursday's mini poll. The Wiper Party conducted drive-thrus in the county, playing recorded messages from the party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, the candidate, and other elected leaders.
Wataona ile vumbi ambayo watu wa Matugu waliona, wataona ile vumbi watu wa Kabushai walionyeshwa na zile vyama ambavyo tumeshikana nazo. Kwa hivyo mimi naelewa kabisa na najua kabisa kwamba chama chetu tutashinda.
A win is what we want. Coalition or no coalition, this is a Wiper's zone. Ukambani is fully locked with Kalonzo, and there's no way we can lose.
The Maendeleo Chapchap candidate, former cabinet minister Mutua Katuku, was on a door-to-door engagement to convince voters.
Nimekuwa waziri wa maji for 2 years, nimekuwa assistant minister for finance for 3 years, na nimekuwa mjumbe wa Mwala for 10 years. I've what it takes. Ikiwa watu wa Machakos wanahitaji senator ambaye anaelewa vile inafanyika, ni Katuku.
At least 10 candidates will be participating in the by-election that has been touted as a 3-horse race between Wiper candidate Agnes Kavindu, Maendeleo Chapchap's Mutua Katuku, and UDA candidate Abana's Mudhama Elias Ngengele.
We are convinced that we have the right candidate. We are convinced that we will deliver this seat. We are convinced that Kenyans will know that this region of Ukambani has one leader. Not Mutua, not Mudhama, not Professor Kibwana, but Kalonzo Musyoka.
I want to appeal to Kalonzo Musyoka, Ruto, Tinga, and the rest, even Governor Mutua, to let the Machakos people elect their senator. Because they are interested in 2022, and they want to impose a senator who cannot serve Machakos people.
Political pundits argue that the by-election will be a contest for the bigwigs to test their might. Kalonzo seeking to assert his authority in the region against an onslaught from Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua, and Deputy President William Ruto testing his machinery through UDA ahead of 2022 general election. It is a wrap for Machakos senatorial by-election campaigns as focus now shifts to Thursday mini polls, a contest shaping out to be a matter of survival for some, and for others, a matter of testing the waters ahead of next year's general election. Jeff Kirui, KTN News.
The campaigns did end at least 48 hours to the mini poll as stated by the laws, but that's the latest as reported by Jeff Kirui. Many tout it as a supremacy battle between top political leaders, something that we saw in the just concluded Kabuchai and Matungu by-elections. So the race is in the home stretch, Thursday being the voting day, and it seems to have narrowed down to 3 candidates. Maendeleo Chapchap have their candidate Mutua Katuku, Agnes Kavindu of Wiper Party, and UDA's Abanas Ngengele. I hope I mentioned that correctly. But be that as it may, let me start with you, Mr. Musari. Even as you perhaps borrow a leaf on what we just talked about, Jubilee, what exactly does this senatorial race mean for Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka in terms of asserting his authority in the region?
I think I'll start off from Jubilee and just close it with this. Jesse, I'd like to say that any form of conflict has a cost to it. There will be a cost for the rebel, and there will be a cost for the authority that's fighting the rebel. That's normal. I think the DP is well aware of this, as so is the president. We will wait and see where the chips fall. However, when it comes to the Machakos mini poll, I think what you see here is Wiper on the defensive. Because this is their Senate seat. Everybody's coming at them. I think Alfred Mutua with CCM and Katuku is giving it a good go. I don't think that UDA particularly has a plausible chance of winning, but it's time to stretch their wings. So the person who is in the defensive here is Wiper.
So what does it mean for Kalonzo Musyoka going forward?
He must
2022? Win. It's a must win.
He must win. He's already in a very weird conundrum. He's the only regional leader who doesn't control a single governor in his area. That's very telling. To lose a senator would be a nail in the coffin.
Okay, that goes even further to mention that during the last election, Chama cha Uzalendo actually captured the Machakos senatorial seat through the late Senator Boniface Kabaka. Wiper came in second, and Gakuya, this is where you pick up. How important is this win for Wiper, and what does the entrance of UDA actually mean? Is this a test to actually see their strength in this particular region, or do you believe they're going in it guns blazing to take it away?
Roger, one thing is that Kenya, most of the regions we believe we what we call chieftains, and this sometimes they call them kingmakers. And in eastern Cumberland, you realize very well, in most of the time there is always 2 commanders. Taking from the Moi regime, we had 2 number of commanders. One was Murmutizia, and there was another one who was gay. And there before Giro becomes the governor, then Giro, during Kibaki's time, you find that Giro was fighting what you call a balancing battle and with Kalonzo Musyoka. But of late, Kalonzo is like now he has been the sole chieftain in that particular region. Kalonzo having lost 3 governors, because the 3 governors are not elected under the flag of Wiper. They have been elected from different kind of parties. It tells you that the control on the ground is somehow difficult for him, and therefore going to this particular senatorial position and taking consideration that actually the then holder of that particular seat was not elected under the flag of Wiper. This time round is due die for Kalonzo to make sure that in fact he backs that particular senatorial position under the flag of the Wiper. Otherwise, he will be a chieftain who cannot be able to bargain with the rest of the team, expected to be part of the grand coalition, if he cannot manage himself from a position from his home yard. And therefore, it's a tricky position if he loses this. Also, in the UDA, I can say, if a UDA can make a mark of winning that particular position in Kabaland, that can be a big entry point for the UDA. And the battle here is between Kalonzo and Muthama. And I believe the two has to show who is currently carries the mighty of Machakos. Okay. I still believe that actually the people of Machakos have their freedom, because one, and this is my take, that in fact that's how independent candidates normally won. All right. They does won because actually you are voting for a candidate, an individual character, and therefore not the party which will work for you, but an individual character is the one who will work for you. Okay. And therefore, if they find that the qualities are under the UDA candidates, I think the people will go there. All if they feel that their interests are under the Wiper, they will still go there. So let us give them the room to cast their vote, and that's the best candidate win.
With respect to the other candidates, let me also introduce Maendeleo Chapchap's Mutua Katuku. Mr. Musari, what's your take on what this means for the party in the region? That's Maendeleo Chapchap and the party leader, Alfred Mutua, bearing in mind he's a governor, he's angling for the presidential seat come 2022, and of course, in extension, that particular seat as the kingpin of Ukambani region. What's your take on this?
Jesse, look, there's a couple of cases in court. Those cases, if heard and determined, would give Mutua Katuku a propulsion into a serious candidate at this moment. But it looks like it's narrowing down into situation or an occasion where Kalonzo is expending himself to prove that he's still in control of Ukambani. I feel that within the current circumstances, most likely Wiper will win. I stand to be corrected.
Well, I'm sure the voters will decide that. But still with you, Mr. Musari, barely 2 days to the particular by-election, we had the particular move by President Uhuru Kenyatta to ban political gatherings. And of course, that was when the campaigns were just heating up. And of course, they had campaigned for quite a while. But would this ban actually have to... no, let's talk about strategy. I think that would be proper. We saw Maendeleo Chapchap actually use the door-to-door strategy. After Friday, the Wiper Party, through one of their spokesperson who was speaking to our reporter, mentioned that they now switch to cars with sound systems to actually pass the message voters to come out. Talk to us about strategy. Politics is all about strategy. Might this affect the outcome?
First and foremost, let me start by saying, Jesse, that it is high time that we value the people who vote more than the votes. So if we have a pandemic and it's going to take lives, then we should be able to make the sacrifices within changing our campaign strategies, even if there'll be a lower turnout. But the lives that come out to vote must be more important than the papers that are cast in the box. And so I think the government is well in order to take care of its citizenry. However, I don't see anything new going on in door-to-door campaigns. It's 48 hours to the election. You couldn't do much of rallies anyway by law. It's going to be door-to-door. It's going to be midnight crawling, a bit against the law, I think, when it comes to Kenyan politics. But I don't see anything changing. We do have consistent promotion vans sending out messages during any campaign. And we do have door-to-door campaigns, not just in Kenya, but across the world. So I think what happens is that you definitely lose the idea of the mass appeal or using media as a conveyor of your mass appeal. And you'll have to go down and convince people individually. That might change. And so at this point, then the convincing power, the rhetoric power, and as well as the charm and the likability factors of the candidates involved will be very key. You're knocking at someone's door. If he doesn't like you and you say hello, then the vote is gone.
Okay, well, that's interesting, but bearing in mind, campaign session has actually been closed. But with you, Mr. Gakuya, what do you make of the political battle of supremacy within the Kamba region? You earlier mentioned that it might be between Mudhama, who's aligned to UDA party. What exactly might this race mean for him, political influence come the next general election?
One is that Mudhama seems to have already parted from his former boss, Kalonzo Musyoka. And at this particular time, this is a test that he's trying to measure his might in Kamba as far as the Kamba politics are concerned. And therefore, him being the chairman of the UDA party, and I'm sure that actually he must be part of deciding which candidate the party will be able to place there. I am sure that this particular battle and outcome of this particular election is going to place him somewhere. But this is already a route that Kalonzo has already cornered him. Because one, Kalonzo mentioned that actually he has to use the candidature of his party to his wife. And therefore, it becomes very tricky when now it is the wife versus the husband who are battling in this particular war. And at a point, Kalonzo was cracking jokes when he told the public that he will deliver the wife back to Mudhama, yes. But he will deliver him back when it will be a senator.
Well, that was a hot issue, yeah.
This to me, Roger, is a big battle there. Also not forgetting that we have other two candidates who are hearing for presidency. We have Kivuta Kibwana looking for supremacy of presidency, and we have now the current governor of Machakos, who also is a presidential candidate come 2022, and therefore I am sure that he is also still trying to measure himself the political strength in his backyard, and therefore the outcome of this is also going to gauge him where his mighty level is.
Okay, Mr. Musari, just borrowing from Matungu and Kabuchai, we did see the formation of the Super 7 Alliance. Many might give it various names, but Ford Kenya, KANU, Wiper Party, and ANC actually coming together, and they did clinch the seats in Kabuchai and Matungu. I mean, pressure is now on Kalonzo Musyoka's doorstep to deliver the same. What might a win or lose for him in this particular by-election mean in terms of his bargaining power or his seat within this particular alliance?
Roger, he can't lose. He just can't lose. Just Rogers, he can't lose. If he loses now, his political career is over. This is clear. He will have a serious problem negotiating between the alliance of 7. I don't know if I'll term it as super, but the alliance of 7, and I'll tell you why. If you look at science as a solvent of myth, perhaps I should repeat that. If you look at science as a solvent of myth, then this is the easiest way for you to determine the truth. So we can steadily analyze the amount of votes all of the so-called Super 7 alliance have received in the last 2 elections. And when it comes to 2013 and 2007, then you have to be aware that all of them have had a run at an election. And this being the case, then the total votes that are here put together in the Super 7 Alliance amount to something like 1.5 million. You can't win a Kenyan election with that. So you might be regional.
If critics say the ground has shifted, I mean, the same political scene can't be there from 2007.
I think it's an interesting surprise to see Kenyans say that the ground has shifted. I consistently see this country forming a divide between democratic liberalism and some form of conservatism. I'll explain that later. But what you see within the Super 7 Alliance, if you wish to call it so, is a marriage of sorts that's on convenience. Now, the problem with what they've done, in my view, is that they've gotten into a marriage without ironing the details. And now that they're patched together, their breakup is going to be far much more acrimonious than they expected. Because, you know, out of those 7, there's only going to be one candidate.
Okay, well, that's interesting. What's your take on the politics of alliance as we conclude, Mr. Gakuya?
One, Roger, is that politics of alliance are the key to the political roadmap of this country. When the drafters of Constitution brought in an element of 50+1, it becomes too difficult for any single community to win an election lonely. And therefore, coalitions are there to stay. Until when that kind of cross either is going to be amended or is going to be struck out. But as long as the threshold of 50+1 is going to remain there, it tells you that no single community will cling to power without having a coalition with another community. And this is the case where we are finding a grand coalition yearning between the team of Kalonzo Musyoka, Gideon Moi, then Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula, and so on. And me, I would say they are just following a route that anybody else will follow. Because even though it will mean it is Laila Tinga, he will not clinch alone. He must look for somebody who will just back him so that he can win.
So even what does this alliance mean for
including the House of the Nation? The House of the Nation also may be so popular, but may also require a spare gear, a spare tire, to make it clinch the 50+1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does this alliance perhaps mean to Raila, Ruto and his ilk, who are still standing in solitude, quote unquote, even though there's still time to the general election?
Roger, if you are finding a situation where the BBI crime has become so important that anything else that has should be beyond any other interest that Kenyans, including the pandemic situation we are in, it is because it is being formulated to bring in a succession formula. And this succession formula, if you find the way it is those chieftains of number of tribes coming together and forming a coalition of tribal coalition. And that is the nasty kind of it. But we have no choice. This has to be the route to go. This has to be the route to go.
So the Hustler Nation is thinking of this?
No, the Hustler Nation also must think of how, whom are you going to part with?
All right.
Because at the end of the day, if the order of the day will be the BBI order, which will create now more structured executive, that will give a room to give as many as possible what we call fish in the offing. And I think that that will also make is a mechanism that will make things easier.
Okay.
Easier.
Mr. Musari.
Other than when the possessions are only 2.
Okay.
Because when the possessions are only 2, to share them with a number of 5 team of chieftains, it becomes difficult, and it will be difficult.
Okay, Mr. Musari, as we conclude, perhaps the issue on this particular by-elections overshadowing the candidates, because there's too much focus on the litmus test, what it means come 2022. For the people of Machakos, priority right now, is it just selecting their senator, or are they also looking forward, or this is being spoon-fed to them? What do you make?
Just everybody will be making their case in Machakos. UDA will be making their case. Bona Katuku will be making his case. And I think, obviously, then Mrs. Mudhama will also be making her case. That being said, I don't think that you can spoon-feed an entire community what to believe. I don't think so. I think the genesis of tribes and ethnic groups are families. We all must have belonged to some family at some point.
Okay.
And so it is not unusual for someone to love their tribe or to be proud of it. And I don't think one should not be in love with their tribe or proud of it.
All right.
However, I do hope that going forward as a country, we can rise up above this semi-recumbent ideological posture that separates Kikuyu from Luhya, Kamba from Kalenjin. It's a tiresome argument. And I think what you have within the BBI, as opposed to the perception that Mheshimiwa has here, respectfully, is that it does give this country a ventilation point to make sure that every single corner of this country is engaged in some form of area of the executive. Because, Jesse, we have proven more than once, by our own blood, unfortunately, that we tend to determine for ourselves that this is a country which is a coalition of tribes rather than a nation.
All right.
And if the Constitution is the MOU that keeps these tribes together, then you better write it straight.
Okay, well said. I think it would be a proper note to conclude. Musari Kahiga right there, public policy analyst, giving us his take on the recent political intrigues. We're also joined in studio by James Gakuya, who's a member of parliament for Embakasi North. Gentlemen, many thanks for your time and contribution. We'll definitely monitor the by-election and see which way the people of Machakos decide. Let's take a short break right now. And when we come back, right after this short break, it'll all be about the person of interest this time round. We focus on the Meru governor, Kiraitu Murungi, coming right after this break.